Hey y'all, it's Michael and it's VEDA day 17. I was thinking about doing a follow me around vlog today, but I said, as I promised in my last video, that I was going to finally do my top books of quarter 1. We're gonna go to the fair tonight, so that's always gonna be fun. So if you see an extra video, you know, it's what I did today. I am outside because it is a beautiful day outside today. There's Bullet over here. I got my Starbucks. It's a double shot, by the way. I had a Bullet first. I swear, I troll him so much. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about these books. On this video, I'm going to do 12 through 7, and then on the next one, I am going to do 6 through number 1, my favorite. Number 12 is Gathering of Waters by Bernice L. McFadden. This is about a town, Money, Mississippi. M-I, crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback, I. It's actually narrated by the town. It was actually a really nice surprise of a book. It takes from point of view of different characters and it converges essentially all together because of certain events that's happening. It has this sense of magical realism that I really enjoyed. It really integrated really nicely and it just told a really interesting story. There is a, because I didn't know that this was gonna happen, but it does have, because it is historical fiction, it does have this little thing with Emmett Till, and in case you don't know who that is, you know, look him up. He's an important person in US history. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it, and I did learn a few things because I was like, I did not know that's what Gathering of Waters means. Number 11 is The Wild by Julia Elliott, narrated by Susan Bennett and Lori Gardner. This is a short story collection, which I don't read a lot of, and I'm trying to change that, but I'm finding out that if I do it through audiobooks, it's much easier for me, or like read them one at a time. First off, it is weird. Like, these are really weird stories, and I mean that in the best way possible. I really enjoyed the quirkiness of them. Like, each story was really different. My favorite is definitely the title of the book, which is The Wilds. Oh, that story was so interesting. And I knew I really enjoyed this because as each story was about to end, I was like, oh, I want so much more. And it was like that little carrot dangling in front of you. The stories basically were like magical realism, and it was like dark, moody. I really like the punches that it, like, as each story brings, it brought something to the table. I would recommend it. I really enjoyed it. Number 10 is Smaller and Smaller Circles by F.H. Batacan, narrated by Ramon de Ocampo. I was really excited to read this because this is from the Philippines, where I am from. That's one of my goals, is to read more Filipino literature. I first heard of this book from Rincy Reads, and this takes place in Patayas, which is close to Manila, Quezon City, around there. And it's basically like this dump where people dump trash. We follow two priests as they try to solve this mystery and solve the killer. Now, this book is more of the journey than whodunit, a look into the Filipino judicial system and the Filipino crime system. You get to also see the political side, who runs what per se, and like for real, like budget cuts. I thought it was really fast-paced and thrilling, and I really enjoyed it. Number 9 is A Mother's Reckoning, Living in the Aftermath of Tragedy by Sue Klebold, and it's also narrated by her. This is about Sue Klebold, who is the mother of Dylan Klebold, who is one of the bombers, I guess you could say, technically bombers, of the Columbine tragedy in Colorado. But I really enjoyed it is because since I have listened to Columbine by Dave Cullen, that brought a lot of information. So I was hesitant when I started this because I kind of wanted more. This was a really nice look, like another point of view of the Columbine tragedy. It was really interesting to see how she as a mom dealt with all of the backlash and the tragedy of the shooting. You don't really get to see that a lot, and I felt like here she was really honest, and I felt it that she was really speaking from her heart. It does crisscross a lot of the facts that Dave Cullen in in Columbine talks about. I do have a one gripe about this book, and that's because I feel really passionate about it, and that's the correlation of video games and violence. She kind of skims over it. I felt like she didn't go into it. She just put some facts into it, and it was just like a little stumble over the great overall thing that she was talking about. But I also wanted her to talk more about, she didn't call it mental issues and mental health, she called it brain health because, well, she talked about it anyways. I kind of wanted her more to go into that topic and like more research. She kind of skims over it, and I kind of wish she did more with that. But I think overall, like, I just really love her openness. Felt like I got a different perspective of something that I already knew. I felt like that was her goal, is like a different perspective of what everybody else thought. Then she accomplished it really, really greatly. I would recommend it. Oh, okay. Careful, the camera. Number 8 is Under a Painted Sky by Stacey Lee, narrated by Emily Wu Zeller. I read this book for my book club. This book is about Sam. This takes place during the Gold Rush era-ish, around there. This is basically a YA historical western, if you want to put it in a category. Sam, who's Chinese, something happens essentially, and she meets up with a runaway slave, Annie Mae, and they essentially have to, without giving too much away, they essentially have to head west, which is really dangerous at that time because they are girls, so they dress up as boys. The book is basically about their journey as they go towards. I really enjoyed this because from the beginning, I was really invested into it, and I really enjoyed the dynamics between Annie Mae and Sam. I also really just enjoyed the dynamics of all the characters that they encounter. I just thought it was a really good, thrilling, fast-paced novel. It's just really interesting from the beginning towards the end. It's kind of more of like a coming of age mixed in with while they're trying to go cross country essentially. Number 7 is The Lions of Little Rock by Christine Levine, narrated by Julia Whelan. This is a historical fiction middle grade novel. It's essentially a friendship book, which I really enjoy. This takes place in Little Rock, Arkansas. Hey, careful. Bullets over here. This takes place during the integration of the Little Rock 9, in case which you don't know, which was during a few years after, hey, careful, which was a few years after Brown versus the Board of Education. Basically, the Little Rock 9 made national news because you were supposed to integrate. Basically, the mayor at that time was like, nope. And there was a lot of riots and whatnot. So this takes place in Little Rock a few years after, like, during that also. She's in middle school, and we meet Marley, who becomes, she's kind of a loner, and we meet her new friend Liz, and then they become friends essentially, and something happens with Liz. The friendship between these two, I was like all for it. Again, I love their dynamics, and I just thought this told a really good story. Like, it just told a really good story. This book had the balls to do something. I was like, yes! It kept escalating the stakes that these two were going in, and I was like, wow. Because there's a part when the climax happens, and I was like, yes, do it. I got really excited during that part. I felt like I was almost rooting for the author to keep pushing it, and she did. If you're looking for just a good story, this is it. Like, I really enjoyed this. The story was just so good. Yes, those are numbers 12 through 7. And tomorrow I'll do my top 6. And so yeah, if you get to see a extra video, that's just because it's us going to the fair, and I might vlog it since, you know, I'm doing this in real time, so you're gonna see this whole outfit. And then until then, if you read any of the novels, let me know what you thought about them. Until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow or later on. I don't know. Bye. You want to say bye? Hold on. Look at this dude. What you doing? Sniff in the air? Singing what senses are out there?